Now for more, let's go across to Riham, who is in our newsroom. Riham.
Thank you, Mark, for further analysis. We're joined from Cairo by Al-Ahram Managing Editor Mohammed Izzuddin. Welcome, sir, to Qnews. Let's start off by asking you, how might Egypt's role as a mediator influence the dynamics between Palestinian factions as well as the overall peace process in the Gaza crisis so far?
Thank you for having me on Q News. Of course, Cairo is a center point for discussions on getting back the understanding with the Palestinian factions, and then also having balance between the Palestinian factions as a main mediator in the peace process and in regional stability under the U.S. and also the international community and the leaders of the countries. Today there were important meetings in Cairo between the leaders of the factions, and then also from the secretary from the GIS head and the GIS head in Palestine too. And all these meetings aim to find a unified Palestinian stance towards the next phase, and to guarantee that the ceasefire will hold up in the, phase one, and then moving on to the next phases. And this also comes amid the important meetings held by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi with the leaders of the European Union to find more support to reconstruct Gaza in the conference that will be held in the next month. And all of these efforts come also the efforts from the front, and also the constant communication with the US and Qatar. And there is a huge importance and a strategic importance for such meetings that are being held today, and also to keep up such meetings in the future, so that the efforts are unified when it comes to everything that has to do with Gaza in the next phases, especially that the committee is being formed now, and up till now we don't have names, but we know that we need to unify the stances, and this is what Egypt is doing currently.
Also, could you tell us about the unified efforts and the coordination between Egypt and the United States when it comes to maintaining the Gaza ceasefire and keeping it a viable option? How is this going to maintain a prospect of wider regional peace in general?
Of course, yes, Egypt's role is crucial, and honestly, if it wasn't for the Egyptian efforts, the continued effort and their insistence on stopping the war and then reaching the peace process, the U.S. government wouldn't have changed its stance that everyone was seeing with Israel, but with the intensifying the pressure from the international community and also the internal government and the US and the Egyptian efforts in coordination with the USA, this Trump showed the peace plan and reaching a ceasefire and then the reconstruction. And this is because of President El-Sisi's efforts and the foreign ministry's efforts also, that have put so much thought and effort into this, and the security measures. And so the U.S. government has reconsidered, and then these efforts came together, unified with the other mediators, of course. But Egypt's role in the current phase is a leading and crucial role. I don't want to say that it leads this phase towards reconstruction and delivering more aid trucks, in addition to guarantee a permanent ceasefire and not having any breaches from Israel's side or any reaches to the current truth.
Well, so you discussed or talked about the Palestinian factions having a talk to reunify them and make them into one faction that's going to be hosted by Egypt. How do you think this contributes to the objectives that have been outlined by President Trump towards a permanent peace plan, and what challenges might these talks face?
Of course, there should be something that's very important, which is having one unified opinion from the Palestinian factions. Israel always depends on breaching the agreement or justifying their actions because there is no unified decision, and so the conflict here isn't and doesn't benefit the Palestinian cause or and doesn't benefit also the ceasefire agreement or the new phases for reconstruction, and in addition to the importance of having stability, because there are international organizations that are funding in addition to some of the Gulf countries, and so there will be a huge importance to have the factions agree to one opinion. And I can say that the Egyptian intelligence have played a very crucial role here under President El-Sisi's support to have unified opinion and not breaching any of the points to the Trump's plan that Egypt was a main mediator in, and also so that this agreement can help to deliver more aid trucks. Around 15 to 20% of aid only are delivered to the Palestinian land in the Gaza Strip, and so we need more aid and to agree on guaranteeing internal security, and then also to coordinate with the new committee that will be formed of Palestinians, in addition to some international people under the support of the US and also under the support of Turkey, Qatar and Egypt, brokered by the US. And so the daily meetings that the head of the intelligence had with the Palestinian factions had a very important role in highlighting how security and peace will keep on to make sure that that peace will be permanent in the upcoming phase, and having the Rafah crossing operating again.
As you said, obviously this is a difficult task. Now, there's a diverse number of factions when it comes to the Palestinians, like Fatah, Hamas, the Democratic Front for Liberation, and many others. What kind of complexities does this reveal about achieving what you've described, a unified voice when it comes to the Palestinian national reconciliation?
Egypt has hosted a lot of meetings and talks in the past period and over the last years, even before the 7th of October crisis. And so the Palestinian factions case that they can intervene in, Egypt can be the only one to intervene to bring the factions together. Egypt has played a very important role over the past phases, and now they are putting even more effort now, because reaching a ceasefire and guaranteeing security in this phase is the foundation to go on with the next phases, so that there are no barriers or obstacles from Israel's side, and then also having the international peace. And then also we cannot forget that there will be funding to start the reconstruction, and so the Palestinian factions have to put together their efforts and to have a unified opinion, and then in addition to having the factions represented by leaders, and then to decide on who will take on the process on the condition that they are independent and not have any agenda. And so, yeah, this is very important, and I think that the agreement on the wide headlines here between the Palestinian factions will have such a positive outcome in the future to keep up the ceasefire and start the reconstruction, and also showing the Palestinian
your
side.
point there is clear,
From
sir. Thank you so much. From Cairo, that was Al-Ahram managing editor Mohammed Izzuddin. Thank you for joining us.